Improving and adding to our UI, creating a dialogue system, and completely redesigning our battle scene for the 20th time is what we'll be focusing on in today's devlog. For all the new watchers, Monster Tribe is an RPG game with monster battling and capturing, resource collection, and dungeon crawler elements wrapped up in an open world adventure with a tribal yet futuristic fantasy aesthetic. Just a quick reminder before we start the video to check out the description, wishlist Monster Tribe on Steam right after you like the video and subscribe to the channel to help us out in the best way you can at the moment. Alright, let's get started with some UI development. The interface we have in the game currently is a bit outdated, but nothing a little Aseprite can't fix. The first piece of the UI I wanted to fix was the equipment piece in the top left. After a quick search at how some other games go about doing this, I wanted to create a simple style that isn't too distracting, but makes the player understand what is going on. I liked how the Legend of Zelda and Moonlighter games did their HUD, showing all of their equipment available and easily showing the player what item is equipped. This is definitely not something I want for the finished result, but for now I worked out a quick display for showing all of the equipment at the same time with your active gear in the larger centered box. I understand this still has a long way to go, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be working on this game over the next 10 to 12 plus months, so getting everything perfect isn't exactly on the top of my priority list at the moment. In future, I would like to make this fit together snug in the corner better and have some transparency in the UI design. I enjoy UI elements that are somewhat transparent so it doesn't take up as much of your total screen vision. Now it's time to get rid of this disgusting piece of crap. Again, looking to Majora's Mask for a nice reference, I really like the idea of a visual day and night cycle. I got rid of the ugly timer and made a decent first draft at a day and night HUD. Again, for future, I would like to do something even cleaner, fitting in the weather and time of day in the same UI box like something you see in Stardew Valley, but I have a solid 5 to 10 days between each devlog, so this is as far as I got for the time being. Next on the priority list is adding in a dialogue system. Never really worked on a proper dialogue system before, so I pawned it off to Shay to complete. We started with a basic black box and ugly text until I decided to create another new font and replace the one we had in all of the menu descriptions. The font looks much better now, but it didn't really fit the black box design. And so I whited out all of the images and gave them a nice undershadow for the updated dialogue visuals. I wanted to keep things very simple, so we went for a clean, transparent overlay for the text box that slowly fades in and out. Once again, I am sure this will slightly change throughout the devlogs, but I do enjoy the look, so I'm going to keep it for now. More traditional dialogue boxes are still good, but I find that this sleek design helps keep the player invested in the gameplay and doesn't pull too much attention to the dialogue itself. This effect makes it feel more like you are just listening in and makes the entire game feel less noisy. I think that it helps the player feel more engaged. The last and final thing on our list for this week was to update our current battle scene. Yes, I understand I have reworked this system more times in the reboot of the Spider-Man franchise. However, I still wasn't too happy with it and wanted something different. I started with subtle adjustments by desaturating out the background elements to bring more focus on the creatures, but it just wasn't enough. There are too many jagged lines and issues with the perspective, so I looked back to our old design to draw inspiration from. I started with a basic guide for the battle arena, and then added tiles for the monsters to sit on. Redoing this from the ground up, we have a nice background which will move similar to something you might see in the Earthbound games. Then some guidelines, our UI being in red and our battle scene being in blue. And now for the ground layer. I wanted to keep this idea of the battles taking place in an alternate reality, so all of the tiles are kind of just magically floating with some energy detailing to signify both battling teams, and some cursors we can use in selecting and moving our monsters around the field. Here's a quick mock-up scene with some monsters thrown on so you guys can get a better idea with the tiles lighting up underneath the creatures. You guys will have to wait for the next devlog to see how we take this from concept to actually being playable in the game, but I would like to end today's video with answering a couple questions from the last Monster Tribe Devlog's comment section. The first question asks, will there be special battles with more tiles, and can moves damage the user? We will be having special legendary battles where monsters will take up 4 tiles instead of 1, but I think we are pretty set on keeping our 3x2 grid as we have based our entire combat system around this idea. Also, yes, there will be moves that damage your own team, as the Pharaoh class is specifically geared around the idea of wrath, sometimes damaging allies or the user to deal heavier hits on foes. Next up, will you be adding workshop support to add in self-made monsters to the game? I think this one might be pretty difficult to do, as this is my first real commercial project I'm working on. I'm not saying no, but if you want a guaranteed method of getting your monster concept in the actual game, then please hold on to some of your cash for the Kickstarter coming April 15th, where you can work with me directly to create your own monsters for people to experience around the world. Last question of the day. Is Monster Tribe coming to the Nintendo Switch? I will be trying my absolute best to get this game on Switch. However, before we know that for sure, we need to submit a gameplay trailer to Nintendo, so you guys will know closer to the launch of the Kickstarter if this game will be coming to the Switch or not. I think we can do it, but I can't say for certain until we get this trailer done. Make sure to drop some questions and comments below to potentially get featured in the next devlog. I just finished setting up a Kickstarter page where you guys will be able to follow me and get notified when the Monster Tribe Kickstarter goes live, April 15th. Guys, we should be going live April 15th, so please make sure to keep in mind the day, April 15th. Thank you. Always gotta end the devlogs with some fan art monsters and designs. Thank you everyone for staying up to date with our continued progression, and I hope you guys make it back for the next one.